All right, everybody, welcome in and welcome back. Season 4, episode 27, aka our 138th show. Thank you all for your patience. Last week we had illnesses offset and scheduling just kind of conflicts, so we had to push to this week. So whether it's for good or for ill, you guys get double the trouble this week.
Yes. So, and at least for this one, these were a pretty good couple of weeks for us. So,
Well,
I think it goes to not for Paul's start, forgetting that it also encompassed not just the league but the Champions League. So, I know we were big talking last week about the Champions League and what Barcelona could do. So, Paul, I'll let you go. I'm like, what happened that second half?
yeah, I mean, it was a really good first 30 minutes for Barcelona. Barcelona almost had a goal within the first minute with Lamine Yamal, and it was on from there. Barcelona was very high intensity, created great opportunities, and ended up scoring 2 goals and got the match level on aggregate. And had other opportunities. Dani Olmo had an opportunity or two. Fermin had a ball where he headed it towards the goal and the goalkeeper got a piece of it. But as he was diving down, the goalkeeper was like, making himself as big as possible. It ended up cleating Fermin in the face, which, technically, I guess the rule is if you get a shot off, then anything that happens after that is just arbitrary. But when you get a cleat to your face, I think that should be a foul. But whatever.
Yeah.
But after we went up 2-0, we kind of let our level drop. Like, okay, we're back in this tie now. We can kind of settle down. But like we were so intense, that's what was winning us the game.
Yeah.
And we end up giving up a goal on a counterattack and 2-1. And that's what the score ended up being by the end of the game. And after we gave up that goal, we just never looked threatening. Late on with like 10, 15 minutes left to go, Eric Garcia got a straight red card, which I didn't think should have been a straight red card, obviously, as a Barcelona fan, but it didn't affect the outcome of the game. We weren't creating chances before then. We couldn't create chances after then. It was, it didn't change. It was frustrating, but this team, given who was in the team for this game, I think this team struggles to play a very high intensity match for a full 90 minutes. And I don't blame anybody for that. But I really wish Hansi Flick would have subbed Ronald Araujo on at, halfway through the second half or thereabouts. Because if you remember, Kubarsi was out suspended due to his straight red card in the first leg.
Yeah.
And Eric Garcia and Gerard Martin, while very capable center backs, are not pacey defenders. And we got caught out.
Yeah.
And when you're playing this really high intensity game,
you need pace, definitely.
You need pace. Yeah. So it was just a little frustrating, but it's gonna sound weird, but it's almost a blessing in disguise. And
you think, yeah,
and I'll explain that why actually. So, we get bounced in the Champions League in the quarterfinals. Unfortunate. I'm just so glad we don't have to play Atletico Madrid again this year because I can't stand looking at Diego Simeone's stupid face. But why it's a blessing in disguise, going to the league game. So the league game after that was against Celta de Vigo, and Barcelona ended up winning 1-0. Lamine Yamal made a really nice darting run, looking like Messi, dribbling between 3, 4, 5 players, and then gets chopped down in the box, gets the penalty, takes the penalty, converts it, and then pulls up and goes down. He pulled a muscle in his hamstring on his left side, and could have been from the tackle, could have been from the PK, maybe both. We don't really know. But he's out for the rest of the year.
Including World Cup or...
No, so World Cup, it sounds like he's going to be back for. And my guess is Barcelona is probably like, hey, we're just going to shut you down. Like, we don't need you the rest of the year. No need to strain yourself. Rest up, get healthy for the World Cup.
Okay.
So that's what it's sounding like. So between him being injured, Rafinha's still injured and not back yet. Frankie de Jong just barely making it back. other players. Mark Bernal is out, who had been a staple the last few months. All these injuries, it's almost a blessing in disguise. Based on how the league is going, we can almost not quite put it into neutral and cruise to another La Liga title. But I just would have hated to make the semis and try to watch us take on Arsenal without two of our most prolific offensive players.
Yeah.
Rooney Bardghji and Marcus Rashford or whoever would have been playing on that left wing. And honestly, I don't even think Marcus Rashford is 100%. Because in the last couple of games, he hasn't started. He's only been playing 20 to 30 minute spurts at a time. So I don't think he's even at 100% yet. So, it's one of those things where, like, I don't want to see us put out a subpar product because we're just decimated by injuries. Yeah. So would I still like to be in the semifinals? Yeah, I absolutely would. But again, hindsight, blessing in disguise, maybe? Yeah, maybe.
But could be, because then that makes it tough, because I imagine that if you're in that semifinals, you kind of have to go for it more than maybe even in the league, because you have a little bit of that cushion.
Yep.
So I can see that then coming back to bite you, where you look at Arsenal and what they're doing and competing on those multiple fronts. That's causing a lot of shift changes, and that leads to more potential for injuries. So you have to manage all that.
Yep. Yeah. So also to note in this game, Andy, I witnessed probably the worst VAR decision I've ever seen in my life. So I don't know.
It's worse and worse. But
did you see those images and videos that I sent you on Instagram?
I saw a couple of them.
Okay.
And I'm at the point where I just saw something on the news that I think it was the championship. The clubs in the championship overwhelmingly voted to not implement VAR. And in seeing that and just seeing how it's kind of gone this year, I completely understand why.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope the Premier League does it. I hope the Premier League goes for it and tries to do another vote on it, because I think all of this is just getting out of hand, and it's just becoming way too annoying. It's just becoming way too annoying, man. It's becoming way too annoying.
Yeah, so listeners, if you didn't see what happened, Pedri plays a beautiful chip ball over the top to Ferran Torres, who hits it on the volley first time, hits it off the underside of the crossbar in, would have put Barcelona up 2-0. VAR calls it back for offside. When we see the still image of the semi-automated offside, Ferran Torres is shoulder to shoulder in line with the defender. The line that they use to determine the offside is further up the field than both the defender and Ferran Torres. So it's like, how do you determine offside based on that image when you can see that the line, it does not line up with either player? Like, it literally doesn't line up with either player. So how is that the offside line?
Yeah. Right. That sounds like there needs to be another line for whoever was the second to last defender.
Right. The line was just in the wrong spot. So it didn't make any sense. So I'm like, okay, if you look at the images, maybe Ferran's shoulder is like a millimeter offside. To me, it looked like it was in line. But irregardless of that, the line that they used to determine who was offside was in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we can see that, how do you not see that?
Yeah.
Like, it was just wild. I don't know if you saw those pictures or the video. It was stupid.
Yeah, I didn't see. I say this not saying that like I didn't think that happened, but I didn't see that the line was drawn up wrong. But I can totally see in like that sense, in that perspective, how, again, this is something I think we talked about earlier, of like VAR does not put into context into anything.
Right.
So when stuff like this happens, where like none of that makes sense, because you're just taking the super isolated incident that ends up being wrong because it's so isolated. It's just completely wrong to what even the rule is about. Then how can you let that happen? Or how that can be allowed to fly is just beyond me.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it did not affect the outcome of the game, but I was just beside myself. It's like, if every fan And everybody that I saw on social media, including Real Madrid fans, which takes a lot for them to admit that referees were wrong, especially when it's a decision that goes against Barcelona. When they're looking at it too, and they're like, "This line is wrong." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
like either fix it or get rid of it. I think that's where fans are at. It's like
Yeah.
fix it or get rid of it.
I think for most part, I think a lot of people are down for getting rid of it. And I'm kind of pro this, that like people that are watching the game on their televisions know more about what's happening than people at the like in the game.
Yep.
And we watch the one of the reasons why we watch football is partly because of the game, but the other part is the fan experience that we can try to somewhat tangentially see
Yep.
and see how the fans interact with the players and things. So as soon as that starts not making sense, where the fans don't know what's happening, it's like watching the NBA, where like no one's you're on the side of the court and no one pays attention
Yep.
and knows what's happening in the game. Then the game is going in the wrong direction, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm very much pro just scrapping it,
Yeah.
scrapping VAR, because the fans at the game need to be first and foremost. They need to know what's happening, and as soon as you stop doing that, then that's a huge issue, I think.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So Barcelona get full points there, and then we played Getafe over the weekend. And interesting stat, we had not beaten them away from home in like 5+ years.
Wow.
The last time we had was when Messi was in the squad.
Crazy how that feels. That's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So, we get a really nice 2-0 win. One beautiful pass from Pedri through to Ferran, one-on-one with a keeper. And then off of a corner, the ball falls to Lewandowski, and he plays like a chipped half-field pass over the top to Rashford. Rashford takes 2 touches in like full speed, one-on-one with the keeper, and puts it home. He had a really nice game. He had some really nice touches, really nice passing, which was great to see. So, again, just a really good 2-0 win, and something that really puts a stranglehold on this title race. And I'll get to why when we talk about La Liga here in a few minutes. But, watching Barcelona get back-to-back clean sheets, without playing with Lamine Yamal for a game and a half, and beating a team that we hadn't beaten away from home in 5+ years, it's great. I mean,
yeah.
We are closing in on Hansi Flick having 5 titles in 2 years as Barcelona manager. And yeah, there are always going to be people who nitpick, but how many clubs over the last 2 years have 5 titles?
Not many.
No.
Not many.
I mean,
maybe City, maybe Bayern.
Yeah, maybe PSG. PSG.
Maybe PSG, yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the top echelon of clubs,
Yep.
And again, given where Barcelona was when we were talking, it was
Xavi was in charge 3 years ago.
Yeah, when Xavi was in charge. Before that, when Barcelona had Griezmann and
Messi and Ronald Koeman was in charge, and
right. Like, thinking of that from where the club was at there to now, I think that's 9-day difference. Yes, maybe it's not at the Pep Guardiola level where it was like world beaters and by far the best team in the game, but you're back up there. You're back up in the contention and talking about it now.
That's where you want to be. Yeah. So, all the fans online who are saying, Barcelona hasn't won a Champions League in 10 years now. It's like, well, no, but it's also not easy to win Champions Leagues.
It's hard to win Champions Leagues.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm extremely happy with where we are. And, it's fun to watch my club play. And that's what matters to me.
Yeah.
I think that's what matters to most close to all football fans, is you want to have fun watching your team play.
And that's great. Like, that's the whole point why we watch. Like, yes, we watch for the results to see where our team plays, but especially at this business end, you just want to be able to say, like, you enjoyed this team, you felt the connection with this team by watching them and how they played. So the fact you got that, and they're going to probably win, looks like they're going to kind of move on and win something, is even better. So we'll
And
probably
even better, Real Madrid is coming up on a nadaplete, which is like a
What's that?
triplete is like a triple, like where you win 3 titles in a year.
Hmm.
Nada means nothing.
Oh, enough. So they got a nothing burger 3
Nothing
times.
burger for 2 seasons in a row. Yep.
Wow. Look how the turntables have turned.
Yep. Yep.
Good.
And
Good
I
for
will get to that when we talk La Liga and Superdud as well. But Andy, I want to hear about closing in on, I think his name's Frank, right? The guy who doesn't have his hair cut, who's growing his hair out.
Yes.
Frank's
So, well, he's
Frank's
gotten
last chance.
Yeah, it is. It is his last chance because we have 3 games I think remaining, 3 matches remaining, and we've gotten 2 wins on the 2 wins on the bounce. Um, so harkening back to Leeds United, I think we were both pretty. That was a very frustrating week, and so we were coming from Leeds. I was quite nervous about United going to Chelsea. Chelsea was and is a mess, but usually they've been able to find a way to beat United. I think United's their worst record in the Premier League isn't to City, it isn't to Liverpool, it's actually Chelsea, especially going to Stamford Bridge. United just historically do not play well at Stamford Bridge.
Interesting.
So, kind of going into that match, I was nervous because it just takes one goal, a greasy goal, something. Just takes one to completely change the course of a game or course of a match. And this was pretty significant because if Chelsea had won, all of a sudden there's pressure. If Chelsea wins, there's a lot of pressure on United, and Chelsea could potentially leapfrog United with results going south. So we needed this to kind of cement our spot in Champions League, and we did it. We did it. Chelsea, God, they looked like a shell of their former selves. They were not cohesive. They were so passive that it was very easy for us to sit back. So even when they had the ball and even created some chances, they didn't look super threatening in any of the chances that they created. And the goal, how it came for us, was honestly courtesy of our arch nemesis Alejandro Garnacho, who now plays for them.
I was just going to ask you about him, but yeah, please tell me.
Oh, so how we got our only goal was from Bruno Fernandes floating into the right wing space, and he just decides he's going to go on a run. He's going to try to get around the defense by going down the line and then trying to cut it back into the penalty area. And there's multiple times where Garnacho, really could have, if he wanted to, it seemed, tried to like make an attempt, but he just kind of did a half-hearted attempt, and that gave Bruno enough time to shocker on that, to do that, and pass it into a dangerous area. But it looked like it was going to Benjamin Šeško. Benjamin Šeško let it go, and Cunha was in the right spot behind him, puts it away. 1-0. We sit back for the rest of the second half and grind out the result. Defend really resolutely, and mind you, we were without our top 2, or our starting center backs in Alessandro Martinez and Harry Maguire, because they were both out for injury. So we started, and Lenny Euro had a terrible Leeds game. So we put in Nusayr Mazraoui and Aiden Heaven as our center backs, and they did the business. So proud of them. Very proud of Aiden Heaven in the match he gave. Really proud of Casemiro for his leadership in there to kind of keep everything together. And we'll get into this to today's match, which was against Brentford, who historically we just have Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, 3 Bs tend to just destroy us because they're very well coached, they're very disciplined, they're very coherent sides. They may not have incredible talent, but they play in a very coherent way, and that has usually been something that other teams can like beat us over the head with. Not today. Today we got an early goal courtesy of a corner from Bruno Fernandes to Harry Maguire, who hit it back across um, the face of goal to Casemiro, who heads it in, scores his ninth goal as a defensive midfielder of the season,
It's
puts
pretty
us
good.
up. It's top. I think he is one more, or is one below. I forget another attacking midfielder. I can't remember, but for us, I think he's honestly he might be our second top scorer with his 9 goals, which is crazy. Just crazy how much he will be missed because of his attacking threat, his defensive stability he brings, his tenacity there was great. Then, crazy enough, or surprise, I would say, surprise, because this is how United plays. After we go up, Brentford really puts us under pressure. We're finding it difficult. They're doing in the match are not necessarily picking us apart, but they're finding all these pockets and making us look exposed. But they're just not clinical. They're not able to put it away. We get a counterattack. Bruno Fernandes gets the assist to a Benjamin Šeško goal, and we're up 2-0 in the first half. Second half, Brentford aren't able to really break us down. We change our defensive shape a little bit. They do score a worldie of a goal from one of the defenders who only likes to score against United. I can't remember his name. He's not important because his team is on the losing side. But there's always, I don't know if you run across this, there always feels like there's one player that always just loves to score a goal against you. They can be from any other club, but they just always want to score against you, and they always find a way to. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of happened here. But I think for me, the main thing is we're really going to miss Casemiro when he goes. We're really going to miss Bruno Fernandes whenever he goes. And Copy Menu, I think he is the future of United. He's showing me enough. He's showing more than just his ball carrying ability, which is phenomenal. He put that on display, but he is getting better at holding up the ball. He's getting better at making challenges. He's getting better at tracking back and intercepting passes like a midfielder, doing more all around. So I think he really, really needs to be that dude who is going to link up attack and defense, and he needs an engine room around him so that he can then do his best for that. So I think that's kind of where I'm going to leave it for that. But like you had mentioned, it's fun to see a team that's, one, is winning, but two, that you're enjoy watching, enjoy seeing. You root for people to score because you know you're going to win. So you're just rooting for people to play well and like look for your players. So very, very exciting in all those fronts. And it looks like we'll have Champions League so next year. So we're nearly there.
It's great.
So good vibes over here. Good vibes. So heading to the rest of the leagues in the past 2 weeks, we'll kind of give some summary of what's important. Bundesliga, I think big news. Surprise, Bayern clinch the German title with their win against VfB Stuttgart. Right. I'm trying to think. I think there's only been one other team that's won the Bundesliga since we've been doing this podcast, which would have been Leverkusen. Last year or 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah. And
so
3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, Dortmund had a chance on the last day and choked. They got a draw when they needed a win.
Yeah, I do remember that day. Because I think I was in a train station heading out at some point to see Joey. And I remember looking that up, and I'm like, how did they do that? How did they do that? That could have been their time. But any case, now what's left to play for is who's going to fill out in the top four uh, in Germany, and what it looks like is Dortmund. Dortmund, I think, looks pretty safe in their victory in this last match. Big thing is going to come down to, I think, RB Leipzig and Stuttgart. RB Leipzig have won their past two matches. Stuttgart have lost. They lost to Bayern Munich, and then they drew against their opponent this week. So that puts the top four looking like this, Paul. Bayern 82, Dortmund 67, RB Leipzig 62, Stuttgart 57. So 5 points separates them from each of the third place there.
Did you see the exciting U.S. soccer news in regards to Dortmund?
I think we now have a new young American playing in Germany.
Yeah, 16-year-old. Let me see if I can find his name. Matisse Albert.
Look at
What's
that.
his name? Yep. So that was
America.
Yep.
Yay.
Another young up and coming U.S. player who's probably going to amount to nothing near what the vast majority of casual U.S. soccer fans are expecting their players to be. So,
yeah, I agree. I don't think.
I mean, Giovanni Reyna, Christian Pulisic, trying to, Adams, who's the guy who plays for Juventus? Weston McKennie. All these guys that are like, good players, not trying to throw shade. They're good players, but nobody from the U.S. is world class.
No.
We don't have world class players. And I think a lot of the casual fans expect the United States, just because we're the United States, to have world class players and be the best at everything.
Agreed.
Newsflash, we're not.
Yeah. And there are systematic reasons why that's the case. Very much so.
And we will probably cover that in the lead up to the World Cup.
We sure will. So let's head back and get back to the vibe check, Paul. What's going on with La Liga and your Barcelona's chances for that title this year?
Your boy's happy because Real Madrid played 2 games since we last chatted, and they won one and they drew one. They drew to Real Betis, Antony's new team, if you don't remember.
Yes.
They were winning the entire game, and then basically with the last kick of the game, ball kind of got kicked around in the box, falls to Bellerin, who's a former La Masia product, La Masia, I think is the correct way to pronounce that. And he equalized 90 plus 4th minute, last kick of the game, and pulls a point out of the game for Real Betis. And what that means, Andy, Barcelona is now 11 points clear out of a possible 15 points left on the season.
Wow.
So
it's feeling pretty good. It's got to be feeling pretty good.
Yep. And Villarreal has kind of cemented themselves as the third place team here with a victory over Celta de Vigo. And Atletico Madrid, despite beating Athletic Club Bilbao 3-2, they somehow were ejected by Elche 3-2.
Ejected by Elche.
Yeah. Man. I don't get it. Like, they're so bad in the league. They're in 4th place. They're behind Villarreal, and Villarreal has had a good season, but they're not like the caliber of the perennial top 3s here. But anyway, so Barcelona has 85 points, and Andy, if Barcelona wins out, this Barcelona team will be one of 3 teams. There are only 2 others at this point who are Centurions, Centennials, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
Where they've bested the 100 mark on a season for points in a season. So 1 Real Madrid team, 1 Barcelona team, 1 Cristiano and 1 Messi team for those. So it's very rare, especially in Spain, to cross the 100 mark. So if we are able to achieve that feat, that would be pretty cool. And not definitely, we don't need to do it to win the league at all. Because, like I said, we have 85. Real Madrid's got 74, so we're 11 points clear out of a possible 15. Villarreal 65, Atletico Madrid 60. So definitely sitting pretty, and we could technically draw all of our games the rest of the year and still win.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good
So
spot to be in.
it's a very good spot to be in. So still got to finish out, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest hurdle is how do you finish? How do you make sure you finish out strong? But
Yep.
I think it'll be a little bit easier given that Real Madrid, I don't think it really has much of anything going for them to bring it back.
I just heard that Mbappe, I think, is going to be shut down the rest of the year.
Yeah, so already
Which,
there. Well,
honestly, is probably worse for Barcelona because Real Madrid plays way worse when Mbappe and Vinicius are on the field at the same time. So
yeah, because now that just gives Vinicius the one spot, so he'll be there. But
yep,
still might be too little, too late, and I kind of think it's going to be that way.
I sure hope so.
Cool. Heading to Italy. Big news is that Inter have not clinched yet. What has happened is that Napoli 2 weeks ago creamed Cremonese 4-0, 5-0. I want to say 4-0. In any case, a lot of goals to 0 goals. And with Inter's draw to Torino, that means Inter is going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. So what it looks like now in the past, from the past 2 weeks, Inter now have 79 points, Napoli have 69, Milan have 67, and Juve have 64. So Juve are cementing their spot to get that final Champions League place. Roma and Como are even at 61 points, trying to get into the Europa League and Europa Conference League, respectively. But they're trying their best to catch up to Juve and trying to see if Juve is going to slip there. Heading to Serie C, Cosenza did draw with Cavese. Started the game out great. Early goal from Baez. Unfortunately, they could not keep that scoreline for the full 90 with an 85th minute goal given up. So the spoils are shared between the two clubs there. Paul, I'll go ahead and start with the Premier League and just kind of get your feedback. For me, I think the big thing besides two big things in news, I think. One, and the match to kind of help decide where this title is going to go. City beat Arsenal 2-1. I watched the match. Arsenal looked decent, but looked like they did not have the determination and they did not have that killer of enough instinct that City have. City had, as I hate to say it, but City have the steel about them to win they have the steel about them to make it happen. And whether that's the confidence, they were just so smart. What I often saw was that Arsenal really tried to push up high with, I think, Martinelli on the right. And so they gave, I think it's Riley's his name, easy access to the left flank of Arsenal. And so he was just having so much joy down that side. And same with him with Doku. Very easy for them. So a bit surprised. They did go toe to toe, and they Arsenal could hold their own, but they did not look like they were not by far a dominant side.
No, agreed.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did you have a chance to watch it? What was your take?
I did highlights. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing live, so I have a little bit of a Reader's Digest kind of version of it. But one thing that I was surprised on is Arsenal's goal was fluky. Donnarumma got caught out.
Oh yeah.
And Kai Havertz, gets a foot in and luckily has the angle right, so the ball goes off his foot and directs into the goal, kind of from the side. Because other than that, I think Arsenal's only clear-cut chance happened in stoppage time, where I don't remember who it was, but he had a more or less free header in the box and put it just over the bar.
I think that was Kai Havertz.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think you're
Kai
right.
Havertz
Yeah,
again.
it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yep, yep. But it was like other than that, it was like the number of chances created or good scoring chances created were pretty few and far between. Whereas I felt like City had more of a hold on the game, more of a grasp, and looked to be more of the team to run away with it than it was Arsenal getting back into the game.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Because yeah, like I think you summed it up pretty well there. Where like I didn't see once City got their second lead, I didn't see how Arsenal were going to get back in,
Yeah.
and like because would have been like it would have had to have been flukes anyway. So it wasn't like that they had, like you had said, created anything. You could say substantially that hey, there's goals to be had here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when there was a chance, they didn't convert. So regardless, even if you're a world beater, you have to take your chances, and they
Yep.
didn't take their chance. So
Yep.
that's what happened there. But this week, City were playing in the FA Cup, so Arsenal were able to get have their match played. They squeezed past Newcastle, courtesy again of I want to say this is courtesy again of a corner and just them causing chaos in corners.
Rugby
Scrums.
scrum.
It's to me it's just nasty football to see.
Agreed.
Like if that's the way they're grinding out results, yes, but I don't have to like it, and I don't. So
Yep.
And I'll critique and ridicule them for it in that sense. But that being said, City now have to win their game in hand to keep up with Arsenal, and they'll have to best in goal difference. But
yeah, so City I think
it's
is behind
doable.
by 1, but with that game in hand, if they win their next game by 2 goals or more, then they would be ahead on goal differential.
Yeah, which I could see it happening.
Yeah.
I have to look at the run in again to see what the remaining games are. But what it looks like now in the Premier League is that Arsenal have 73, City have 70, United now have 61, Liverpool have 58, and Villa have 58. Paul, let's head to the Champions League to see who else is going to be in the semifinals.
Sure. So real quick, I forgot to mention the Copa del Rey final happened since we last potted as well.
Okay.
I just want to cover that real quick. It was Atletico Madrid versus Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad actually in the first minute, like 40 seconds into the game, ended up scoring. Beautiful teamwork goal. Completely caught Atletico Madrid on their heels going into this game. And then 2 goals, a goal by Atletico Madrid in the 19th minute to tie up the game, and then a penalty for Real Sociedad right before halftime put Real Sociedad up, and then late on in the game, Julian Alvarez saves Atletico Madrid. So 2-2, we go through all of extra time, no blood. It goes into penalties, and the 2 people who you would expect to score for Atletico Madrid, Julian Alvarez and Sorloth, both missed their penalties. And so Real Sociedad wins 4-3 on penalties. And watching Atletico Madrid fans cry after, and I'll tell you why, after the team worked with the city, they already had sections of the city blocked off. They had stands put up like they were going to win this thing. So hubris for thinking that you were just going to walk your way into a title, first of all. And then watching Diego Simeone just be devastated. By the way, he has won 1 title in the last 15 years. 1. I think he won La Liga in 2016, I think, if memory serves me right. How does he still have a job?
Because I don't think he could get a job anywhere else. He could not get a job anywhere else, just than other than with Atletico.
He's got to have some dirt on somebody high up in that organization, because any other club of somebody in the top 3, if you go 15 years and you win 1 title, I don't think you still have a job. But
I mean, he might get a job at Arsenal. Arsenal haven't won anything
so
in the past,
true.
like 5 years.
Ouch,
like
by the
4
way,
years,
for all the
years.
Arsenal fans,
Yeah.
nice one.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You could
But yeah,
tell who my
so
Superduds going to be
yeah,
already.
yeah. So anyway, that made me happy because watching Atletico Madrid fans this season specifically was just so annoying as a Barcelona fan. So and
Yeah.
also Real Sociedad does not get the opportunity to win many titles, and seeing that also super cool gesture. So they had a jersey made up of a fan who was stabbed to death by Atletico Madrid ultras in like the early to mid 90s. And in honor of him, they made a jersey and put his jersey on the cup
Oh,
and went around
I
the
saw that.
stadium with it.
That was a great gesture.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah. I mean, it's things like that where you see that with like, I'm not going to call them like smaller clubs, but like outside of the big three, right? In La Liga, where you just see stuff like that of the connection between the fans and the players. I think sometimes that gets lost in these really big clubs where it becomes more about the money, more about the global fame than it does about the fans. So just seeing that at a little bit of a smaller level is just refreshing.
Yeah, it is. And kudos to them to still bring it back to that,
Yeah,
because that can get lost in the shuffle. So it's glad
for
that the
sure.
club has the fans at heart there.
For sure. So, Champions League, Andy, real quick, just going to run through these. PSG winning over Liverpool 2-0, 4-0 on aggregate. We kind of felt like that was going to happen based on the city that season Liverpool was having and how PSG had been successful so far this year as well.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich 4-3 over Real Madrid, 6-4 on aggregate. I'm going to get to Superdud in a minute, but Kylian Mbappe is a huge problem, and I'll get to that in a minute. Arsenal with the most boring quarterfinal of all time, 0-0 with Sporting, 1-0 aggregate. They go through. So it's going to be Bayern, PSG, and then Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, which I really hope that Bayern wins over PSG because I don't want to root for Atletico Madrid or Arsenal against PSG. I really don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could not. I could not root for Arsenal. I could not root for Arsenal. So I do. Unfortunately, I know this is how the kind of guy Diego Simeone is. He will antagonize you, but when you want to antagonize another fan base that's just as big, he won't deliver.
Nope.
So I know for a fact he's going to F it up for Atletico.
He sure will. He sure will. So, Andy, kind of, I want to segue that, if you're okay, into our favorite segment, Super Subs and Super Duds. So the turmoil at Real Madrid is my super sub because it's freaking hilarious. But here's why. Kylian Mbappe is calling out Jude Bellingham because Jude Bellingham is calling out Kylian Mbappe for some of his antics. And by the way, Jude Bellingham has not had a good year. He's had injuries here and there too, but for where he was at, I think 2 or 3 years ago, where I think he won Player of the Year for La Liga and was in the running top 5 or top 3 for the Ballon d'Or as well. He's really fallen off, but that's not what this is about. So them kind of like nitpicking at each other, I think is hilarious. But Kylian Mbappe, and I've talked about it all year, but he's an absolute cancer to this team, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna point out second half. I think at this point the game is either tied on aggregate or Bayern is up by 1, and it's a 2-on-2. Kylian has the ball kind of in the center of the field, and Vinicius is on the left. Both Bayern defenders are within 3 to 5 yards of Kylian Mbappe. And Vinicius has acres of space. Play a ball through in, he's one-on-one with the keeper and probably scoring, right? Kylian Mbappe, head down, takes on the 2 defenders, tries to rip a shot, and he's got 2 defenders on him, so one of them blocks it. And if that is not Real Madrid's season in a nutshell, I don't know what is. You had Florentino Perez. He kicked Arda Güler out of the locker room before going off on everyone in there after losing to Bayern Munich. And talking about effort and, all sorts of different things. You never want that to be what the president's doing.
You never want the chairman coming down. You don't ever want a person who doesn't work in the dugout to come down on you.
Yep.
That's pretty damning.
Yep. So that's a huge issue. And now you have like people going at Kylian Mbappe. You got Kylian Mbappe going at other people. And it's just all this drama. And I am just sitting with my popcorn, really enjoying it. And
yeah.
the fact that Real Madrid is going to go trophyless in 2 straight seasons just makes me so happy. Makes me so happy.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's honestly a pretty good season. Like if you could write that at the beginning of the season, win a trophy at the expense of Real Madrid not winning any trophies. It's a good day to be
because we beat them in the Super Copa final too.
That's right. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you have that for your super sub, Paul.
Yep.
I'm going to say, maybe I've already done this multiple times, but I think I do really need to say this, that Casemiro, like him coming in, and he's going to be my super sub because what he's done through this season and his time at United, his decision to come to United to kind of prove himself and say, like, I can help save this team, going through the shit that he went through, and even by turning myself into a Casemiro can't play this, he's out of his element, and to an extent, like, he's proven that he wasn't the issue, the system was the issue, and how people had interpreted him and his skill set was the issue.
Yeah.
But just now seeing him now, man, I wish we got him earlier. I really do wish he'd stay another year. It's probably a good thing that he goes now, as opposed to then if he does try to stick around and it does start kind of unraveling a little bit more. But man, I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. I'm really starting to see his world class nature, and it seems like he loves United.
Yeah,
it's something that I think all the United fans kind of talk about is like, these players, they'll have legacies elsewhere. And I heard Joe Smith say this on the Stretford Paddock of, you get these legacies, but they come to United and they love United. And so I think he has a real bond with the fans at United, and he's going to go down, I think, as a legend. He's going to be kind of remembered and revered like Ibrahimovic was, I think, in terms of like the impact that he had here at the club and what that meant. It just wish it could have been more trophies. He won 2, so he's got 2. But I think he might say this is his biggest achievement, and I couldn't be prouder of him. Couldn't be prouder of him being a United, becoming a United legend for what he's done for the club. So so very happy there.
I think it's hard for me to speak highly of somebody who played at Real Madrid, but you have to do it, right? I think my biggest thing when I look at him is he went to United at the same time that Cristiano came back, right? And I think that was probably one of the driving decisions in him deciding to leave Real Madrid and go to Manchester United, was, friends with Cristiano Ronaldo, being able to play with him again, and, getting the opportunity to play at a high level with one of the greatest of all time, right? So, and then that whole Cristiano thing just absolutely blew up at United, right? For him to stick it out and say, no, this is my club. I'm here through the thick and the thin, the good and the bad. Everything that went through with all the managers, all the turmoil with that. And basically getting United, being a big part of why United is back to the standard that we've expected of United for years, right?
I feel that's a stretch, but yes, in terms of like
you guys are top 3.
We're not, well, we're top 3, so we were back in terms of standings. Yes, I would say that.
That's
in
what I'm
terms
talking
of standings, about. Yeah, we're in that abouts. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Because where you guys started this season is night and day difference. But
definitely, definitely.
That to me, I think, is just the mark of a good person and a good teammate and a good player.
Yeah,
is somebody who, when things are not going well, I'm here for the club. I'm going to give it my all. I don't care what all is going on around the club. It's just, I'm going to put in my work, and whether it pays off or not, that whatever
Yeah.
happens, right? So,
And
I got to tip my cap to him because so many other players would have been like, with especially when Cristiano left, his friends, somebody who we probably went to United again as a reason he was going there, would have gone to their agent and probably would have been like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah.
And he didn't. So,
Yeah.
big kudos to him.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too is like how he got derided a couple seasons ago under Eric Ten Hag. And it wasn't until Ruben Amorim came back in to kind of show like actually how much needed that he was. I think that really changed it. And that's not a slag at Eric Ten Hag. I think that's just a slag at, our recruitment in not getting the team that was needed to help him. Any case, I just want to say, personally, kind of want to say sorry for what I said about Casemiro if it ever came off as I didn't believe that he was world class, because he is. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I just wish we could have had him for longer for his career there. So that's what I'll say there. Superduds, Paul. Let's go to you.
I mean, I'm giving it to whatever that bogus VAR offside semi-automated offside decision against Ferran Torres against Celta de Vigo was. I mean, it was just the most clear and obvious VAR error I've ever seen, because you have a line on a screen and you can see if the line makes sense or not. I'm just flabbergasted by it. And again, just very thankful that it did not affect the final outcome of the game, but fix it or get rid of it. That's where I'm at.
Yep, I hear you, man. So for my super dud, Paul, it was going to be last week. It was going to be Garnacho. So much so that Luke Shaw, in his post after the game, his first picture on his post after the Chelsea game was a shot of him tackling Garnacho, and the comments from the rest of the team trolling on Garnacho was hilarious. I loved it. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but I loved it.
No, in the realm of sport, when somebody leaves the team and badmouths the team as they leave, and then they get schooled by your team, that's the best.
It was great. It really was great. But I think for this week, what I'm seeing on social media, however true this is or not, the fact that this is out there, I think speaks volumes to the kind of fan base that is at Arsenal. Is that I have seen some Arsenal fans talking to ex-City players, whether they're in like Bundesliga or in La Liga or Italy or France, going up to those players and somewhat jokingly asking them to call Pep to let Arsenal win a league.
What a
joke. Or win this league. How can you be a fan of any sport and think that it's okay to go to your rival and say, hey, you guys shouldn't compete. You should let us have one so we can win something? That's never how sports works.
No.
Not at this level. What is this? Arsenal, first off, coming off saying 3 years ago that like you were guaranteed to win any sort of title, that you would easily win 3 in a row and blah, blah, blah. So almost saying like, oh, because you haven't won anything, you're guaranteeing you're going to win something. Now you've gotten to the point now where you have to beg for your rival to give up because you're, I don't know, getting your butt beat and knowing you probably won't win. What? The delusion is there. The delusion's there.
Yep.
So I'll leave it at that. But
I also saw a video. I don't know if it was from this year or past year, but an Arsenal fan is doing an interview after the game and complaining about the wet pitch conditions from the rain.
Ty. Yes, you saw it. Yes.
And it's like, and the reporter is like, it was wet for both teams.
And that's Robbie. Robbie is the main guy on Arsenal Fan TV. It's an interview between Arsenal Fan TV, and he's had to explain to his own fan that you can't equate and give an excuse that it was raining to why your team didn't play, that your team didn't win. It's
Yes.
hilarious to even think that. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. You got to remember that it was raining is got to be the quote of of this decade.
That that for me, so that's the reason why I am, and that's the reason why I think the way I do about Arsenal is simply because of that quote.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Any case, I think we need to wrap it up there because I need to get ready for work tomorrow. But with that, everybody, we'll be back next week to talk about the run-in for the rest of our teams. Hopefully, Barcelona get their 3 points. United get our 3 points. So then the end of our season looks a heck of a lot different than where we were even months ago, and wondering what was going to happen. So we'll keep you guys posted. But until then, I have been Andy. Paul's been Paul, and with that, I'm wishing you all a big old bye.
Bye.